The email hit my inbox at 2:47 a.m. Subject line, 85% isn't enough. My heart stopped as I read the sender's name, Elliot Grayson, CEO of Apex Dynamics, the man who'd turned my world upside down in 6 months. I was just a junior analyst, but his words burned through the screen, demanding I push harder, be better, or lose everything I'd fought for. My name is Cale Washington, 28, a data nerd who'd clawed his way from a cramped apartment in Tacoma to a cubicle in Apex's sleek Seattle headquarters. I wasn't supposed to catch Elliot's eye. He was the untouchable visionary, 34, with a reputation for brilliance and a gaze that could unravel anyone. Yet, here I was, staring at his late-night message, my pulse racing not just from fear of failure, but from something deeper, something I couldn't name. It started in June, during a team presentation. I'd been up all night crunching numbers for Apex's new AI-driven marketing campaign. My slides were flawless, but when I stood to present, my voice shook. Elliot leaned forward, his blue eyes locking onto mine, and I swear the room vanished. Cale, he said afterward, his voice low, you're at 85%. I need you at 100. His words weren't cruel, they were a challenge, laced with something that felt personal. I didn't know then that his interest would become my obsession. Apex was a pressure cooker, a tech giant where every employee was a cog in Elliot's machine. He was the kind of leader who could inspire you to work through weekends or make you question your worth with a single glance. I'd heard rumors about his personal life, discreet, guarded, no relationships that lasted. But the way he lingered after meetings, asking me about my models or my weekend plans, felt like a spotlight I couldn't escape. By July, I was staying late, not just for work, but for him. He'd wander into the analytics floor after hours, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, offering feedback that turned into conversations about jazz, ambition, or the Seattle rain. One night, he leaned against my desk, his hand brushing mine as he pointed at a chart. You're different, Cale, he said. You see patterns others miss. My breath caught, and I wondered if he saw the pattern of my heart racing every time he was near. The company retreat in August changed everything. Apex rented a sprawling estate in the Cascades, all glass and cedar. 14 building nonsense. I hated these events, too much forced camaraderie, but Elliot insisted I attend. On the second night, after a bonfire, he found me by the lake, away from the crowd. The air was cool, the water reflecting 1,000 stars. Why do you push yourself so hard? He asked, his voice soft but intense. I laughed, nervous. Because you expect 100%. He stepped closer, his face inches from mine. I'm not talking about work. Before I could process, his lips brushed Manea, fleeting. Electric moment that shattered every boundary I'd built. I pulled back, stunned, but his hand lingered on my wrist. Cale, he whispered, I see you. I didn't sleep that night. My mind spun with questions. Was this real? Was I a fool to think a man like Elliot powerful, untouchable could want me? Or was this just another way he claimed control? Back in Seattle, the lines blurred further. He'd call me into his office for strategy sessions that ended with us laughing over takeout, his guard down in ways I hadn't expected. But the pressure never stopped. He'd mark my reports with notes like, push harder, or not there yet, driving me to exhaustion. I started to wonder, was I falling for him? Or was I just another project he needed to perfect? One evening, in his corner office with the city glittering below, he kissed me again. This time, I didn't pull away. It was desperate, hungry, like we'd both been holding back too long. But as I left, his voice stopped me at the door. Don't mistake this for weakness. Cale, I still need you at 100%. His words stung. A reminder that love and power were tangled in his world, and I was caught in the middle. By September, I was drowning. My work was stellar. Colleagues called my models game changers, but Elliot's expectations kept climbing. He'd praise me in private, his hands tracing my jaw. But in meetings, he'd dissect my work with surgical precision. I started to see it. He wasn't just marking my reports. He was marking me, claiming me in ways that felt both thrilling and suffocating. Then came the bombshell. At a company-wide meeting, Elliot announced Apex's new AI division, a project that could redefine the industry. And he named me, the junior analyst, as lead analyst. The room erupted in murmurs. My best friend at work, Lena, a sharp 30-year-old coder, whispered, "Kale, this is huge. But be careful. He's playing a game." I didn't want to believe her. That night, Elliot invited me to his penthouse to celebrate. The view was breathtaking, the wine expensive, but his words were what hit hardest. "You're my secret weapon, Kale," he said, his hand on mine. "This project, this company, it's ours." I wanted to meld into him, but Lena's warning echoed. Was I his partner or his pawn? As the weeks passed, the AI project consumed me. I was working 80-hour weeks, fueled by coffee and Elliot's fleeting affection. He'd text me at midnight, "You're killing it," then critique my work the next morning. I started to crack. One night, I snapped, storming into his office. "What do you want from me?" I demanded. "Your 100% or your heart." He stood, his face unreadable. "Both," he said finally. "But you can't give me one without the other." I left, shaken. Love wasn't supposed to feel like a performance review. But as I walked through the rain-soaked streets of Seattle, I realized I wasn't just fighting for his approval, I was fighting for myself. The rain didn't stop, and neither did my thoughts. I stood outside Apex's glass tower, soaked to the bone, replaying Elliot's words, both. He wanted my heart and my perfection, but I was starting to wonder if I could give either without losing myself. Back at my apartment, I stared at my laptop, the AI project files glaring back. The algorithms were groundbreaking algorithms, but every line of code felt like a chain linking me to Elliot. Lena texted me, "You okay? He's got you on a leash." I didn't reply. She didn't understand. No one did. The way Elliot looked at me, like I was the only person in the room, made the chaos worth it. Or so I thought. The next morning, I walked into Apex with a plan: focus on the project, keep Elliot at arm's length. But he was waiting in the break room, casual in a sweater that made him look unfairly human. "Kale," he said, handing me a coffee, "we need to talk about last night." His tone was soft, but his eyes were sharp, like he was calculating my next move. "I can't do this," I said, my voice low. "You push me to be perfect, then pull me into whatever this is. It's too much." He stepped closer, his hand grazing my arm. "You think I don't feel it too? The pull. Kale, you're not just an employee. You're..." He stopped, like the words were too heavy. "Meet me tonight. Not here. Somewhere real." Against my better judgment, I agreed. That evening, he took me to a jazz club in Pioneer Square, a dimly lit spot with exposed brick and a saxophone wailing in the background. We sat in a corner booth, and for once, he wasn't the CEO. He was just Elliot, funny, vulnerable, telling me about his childhood in Portland, how he'd built Apex from nothing. I let my guard down, laughing at his stories, feeling the warmth of his hand on mine. But when he leaned in to kiss me, I pulled back. "What are we doing, Elliot?" I asked. "Am I your boyfriend or your project?" His face tightened. "You're more than either. But I can't separate you from the work. Kale, you're too good. This project, it's our legacy." "Our legacy?" I scoffed. "Or yours?" He didn't answer, and that silence said everything. I left the club, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and longing. Back at work, the AI project ramped up. I was leading a team of 10, all older, all skeptical of the kid Elliot had handpicked. I didn't blame them. My promotion reeked of favoritism. and whispers followed me everywhere. Lena pulled me aside one day. People are talking. Kale. They think you're sleeping your way to the top. I froze. That's not true. Isn't it? She pressed. I see how he looks at you. And how you look at him. I wanted to argue. But the truth was messier than I could admit. My feelings for Elliot were a wildfire, beautiful, destructive, impossible to control. I threw myself into the project, hoping work would drown out the noise. My team delivered. We hit milestones, and the AI's predictive models were outperforming every benchmark. At a board meeting, I presented our progress, and the room gave me a standing ovation. Elliot's smile was proud, but his eyes held something else possession. That night, he invited me to his penthouse again. I went, knowing I shouldn't. The city sparkled below, but the air between us was heavy. You were incredible today, he said, pouring wine. You're proving me right. Proving you right. I snapped. Is that what this is? A test? He set the glass down, his jaw tight. You think I don't care about you? Kale, I'm risking everything. My board, my reputation, theory watching us. But I can't stop wanting you. His words hit like a punch. I wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at me. Was I his lover or his trophy? Before I could answer, he kissed me, and I let him. It was reckless, consuming, but as I left his place, I felt emptier than ever. The next week, disaster struck. A rival company, Nexus Tech, leaked a similar AI model. The industry buzzed, accusing Apex of espionage. Elliot was furious, demanding we trace the leak. My team worked around the clock, but the evidence pointed to an internal breach. Suspicion fell on me, Elliot's favorite. Lena warned me, they think you're too close to him. Be careful, Kale. I confronted Elliot in his office. Did you set me up for this? To take the fall? His face darkened. You think I'd sabotage my own company? My own. You. He stepped closer, his voice breaking. Kale, I trust you. More than anyone. I wanted to believe him, but the whispers were louder now. The project, my career, our connection, it was all unraveling. And I was caught in the center, fighting for a truth I wasn't sure I could find. The leak scandal hit Apex like a storm. The board called an emergency meeting, and I was summoned not as the lead analyst, but as a suspect. Walking into that boardroom felt like stepping into a lion's den, with Elliot at the head of the table, his face a mask of control. Kale, the board chair, a stern woman named Marjorie, began. Your access to the AI's core code makes you a focal point. Explain yourself. Her tone was ice, and the room's eyes bore into me. I glanced at Elliot, hoping for support, but he was silent, his hands folded tightly. I laid out my work, my late nights, my loyalty. I've given everything to this project, I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. If there's a leak, it's not from me. The room stayed quiet, but Marjorie's skeptical frown told me I wasn't convincing anyone. After the meeting, Elliot pulled me into a side room. I know it's not you, he said, his voice low, but we need proof. Dig into the data. Find the real culprit. His hand brushed my shoulder, and for a moment, I wanted to lean into him, but I stepped back. You didn't defend me in there, I said. Why? He hesitated, his eyes flickering with something I couldn't read. I have to protect the company. Kale. And you. If I show bias, it'll make things worse. Worse for who? I shot back. You or me? He didn't answer, and that cut deeper than anything. I left, diving into the data as he'd asked, but my trust in him was fraying. I spent days analyzing access logs, code commits, anything that could point to the leak. My team rallied behind me, even the skeptics, sensing my desperation. Lena stayed late one night, her laptop glowing beside mine. You don't deserve this, she said. But Elliot's not worth it. He's using you. He's not, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. The truth was, I didn't know anymore. Then I found a hidden backdoor in the code, buried in a subroutine I hadn't written. It was sophisticated, designed to siphon data to an external server. I traced the IP to a contractor, a senior developer named Ryan, who'd been quietly resentful of my promotion. When I showed Elliot, his relief was palpable, but so was his distance. Good work, he said, already turning to his phone. I'll handle it. Ryan was fired, and Apex issued a statement clearing my name. But the damage was done. The industry still whispered, and my team's trust in me was shaky. I felt like a pawn in Elliot's game, his praise always paired with a new demand. One night, he called me to his office. You saved us, he said, pulling me close. I knew you could. Then why do I feel like I'm losing? I asked, my voice breaking. You keep pushing me. Elliot. For what? For us, he said, his eyes intense. For what we could be. Don't you see it? You're my equal. Kale. I need you by my side. His words were a lifeline, but they came with strings. I kissed him, desperate for something real. But even that felt like a transaction. As I left, I saw Lena in the hall, her eyes full of pity. You're in too deep, she said. Get out before he breaks you. I didn't listen. The AI project was nearing completion, and I threw myself into it, hoping success would anchor me. We launched a beta, and the results were staggering. Our model predicted consumer behavior with 92% accuracy. The board was thrilled, and Elliot took me to a rooftop bar to celebrate. The city sparkled below, and for a moment, it was just us, laughing, his hand on mine. You're at 95%, he teased, but his smile was warm, unguarded. Then the call came. Nexus Tech had filed a lawsuit, claiming Apex stole their tech. The news hit like a bomb, and Elliot's face went cold. This isn't over, he said, his voice steel. We fight. The next weeks were a blur of legal meetings and PR disasters. I worked alongside Elliot, combing through data to prove our model was original. But the stress fractured us. He was distant, snapping at me in meetings, then pulling me close in private, whispering apologies. I was exhausted, torn between love and resentment. One night, in his penthouse, I broke. I can't keep doing this, I said. I'm giving you everything, and it's never enough. He grabbed my hands, his eyes desperate. You're enough, Kale. I'm the one failing you. I'm trying to protect you, but I don't know how. For the first time, I saw his vulnerability, raw and real. I wanted to believe him, but the lawsuit loomed. And so did the truth. Love and power were a dangerous mix, and I was caught in their crossfire. The lawsuit dragged on, a shadow over everything. Apex's stock dipped, and the board's confidence in Elliot wavered. I was still lead analyst, but my role felt like a tightrope. One misstep, and I'd fall. Elliot was everywhere, his presence both a comfort and a weight. In public, he was the unflinching CEO. In private, he was unraveling, and I was the only one who saw it. We spent late nights in his office, poring over legal documents and data trails. One evening, he slumped in his chair, tie undone, eyes tired. Kale, he said, if we lose this, it's over. Everything I've built. Everything we've built. We? I asked, my voice sharp. You mean you? I'm just the guy who got you here. He stood, crossing the room in 2 strides. Don't say that. You're the heart of this. Kale, I couldn't do this without you. His hands cupped my face, and I wanted to believe him, but the pressure was crushing me. I pulled away, then stopped treating me like a means to an end. I said, I'm not your algorithm. I'm a person. He flinched, And for a moment, I saw the man from the jazz club, not the CEO. I know, he whispered. I'm trying. Kale. I've never felt like this before. His confession hit hard, but it didn't erase the months of doubt. I left his office, my heart a mess of hope and hurt. The next day, Lena cornered me in the break room. You're killing yourself for him, she said, and he's letting you. Walk away. Kale, you deserve better. I wanted to argue, but her words stuck. I started noticing things I'd ignored. The way Elliot's praise always came with a new expectation. How his affection felt like a reward for my performance. I was at 95%, but 100% seemed impossible, not because I couldn't reach it, but because he'd never let me. The lawsuit reached a turning point in November. Our legal team found proof that Nexus Tech's claims were fabricated, a desperate attempt to undermine Apex. We presented our case, and the court ruled in our favor. The news broke, and Apex's stock soared. At the victory party, Elliot pulled me onto a balcony overlooking the city. We did it, he said, his smile radiant. You did it. I wanted to feel joy, but I was hollow. What now? I asked. What's my percentage now, Elliot? He laughed, thinking I was joking, but his face fell when he saw my expression. Kale, you're everything. Don't you get it? I love you. The words I'd longed to hear felt like a trap. Love doesn't demand perfection, I said. It doesn't keep score. He reached for me, but I stepped back. I need time, I said, walking away. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. The next weeks were torture. I avoided Elliot, focusing on the AI's final rollout. The project launched to rave reviews, hailed as a game changer. My name was in every article, but I felt like a ghost. Elliot tried to reach me, texts, voicemails, even a handwritten note. I'm sorry. Let's talk. I ignored them all. Lena invited me to her place for Thanksgiving, a small gathering with her girlfriend, Mia, and a few friends. It was warm, chaotic, real, everything Apex wasn't. Mia, a 32-year-old artist with a quick laugh, asked about my work. I told her about the project, leaving out Elliot. Sounds like you carried that company, she said. Why don't you sound proud? Her question hit deep. I wasn't proud, I was exhausted. That night, I made a decision. I drafted a resignation letter, my hands shaking as I typed. Apex had been my dream, but it had become a cage. I didn't send it yet, but holding it felt like freedom. The next day, Elliot cornered me in the parking garage. You're avoiding me, he said, his voice raw. Kale, I meant what I said. I love you. I'll change. I'll do whatever it takes. I looked at him, the man who'd pushed me to my limits and made me feel alive. I believe you, I said, but I need to love myself first. He froze, and for the first time, I saw him as just a man, not a CEO. I walked away, my heart heavy but lighter than it had been in months. The battle wasn't over, but I was ready to fight for myself. I didn't send the resignation letter right away. I carried it in my bag for days, a quiet rebellion against the life I'd built at Apex. The company was thriving, the AI project a global success, but I was unraveling, piecing together who I was without Elliot's shadow. In December, Apex threw a holiday gala, a glittering affair at a downtown hotel. I almost skipped it, but Lena convinced me to go. Show them you're still here, she said. You're more than his muse. I wore a tailored suit, my confidence a fragile mask, and walked in with my head high. Elliot was there, commanding the room as always. Our eyes met across the crowd, and my chest tightened. He approached, his expression softer than I'd ever seen. Can we talk? He asked. I nodded, and we slipped into a quiet hallway. I've been a fool, he said, his voice low. I pushed you too hard. Kale, I thought I was building something with you, but I was breaking you instead. I'm sorry. His apology was raw, unguarded. But I'd heard promises before. Words aren't enough. I said, you made me feel like I had to earn your love. That's not love, Elliot. He nodded, his eyes glistening. I know. I'm stepping back as CEO. I need to fix myself before I can ask for you. But I'm asking anyway, give me a chance. Not as your boss, but as a man who loves you. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I walked back to the gala, my heart a battlefield. Lena found me later, her eyes searching. You okay? No, I admitted. But I will be. The next day, I sent the resignation letter. Walking out of Apex felt like shedding a skin. I took a job at a smaller tech firm, one that valued my work without consuming my soul. The hours were saner, the people real. I started therapy, unpacking the weight of the past year. I missed Elliot, but I didn't miss the chaos. Months later, I saw him at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill. He was in jeans, no tie, no armor. He smiled, tentative. You look good, Kale, he said. Happy. I am, I said, and I meant it. What about you? Learning, he said. I'm consulting now, not leading, trying to be better. We talked for an hour, not as lovers or rivals, but as two people finding their way. He didn't ask for me back, and I didn't offer. But when he hugged me goodbye, it felt like closure, not an ending. I walked home through the Seattle rain, my heart full. I'd gone from 85% to 100%, not for Elliot, but for myself. Love wasn't a score to chase or a battle to win, it was the courage to choose yourself, even when it hurt. And in that choice, I found my power.